One's ready. One's ready. Go! So you guys are going into special warfare assessment selection. It is an attributes-based selection model. What does that mean?
Guys, are we running right now to get fitter? Are we practicing running? Practicing.
I can't freaking...
So there's a holistic picture that we're looking for. The instructors are giving you input, and we're expecting an output. And everything is for a reason. If you guys haven't heard my spiel yet, everything that we do, every single exercise, has a connection to the job that you're trying to do. We don't want people at INDOC, Special Warfare Assessment Selection, whatever they're gonna call the new course when it inevitably changes somewhere down the road. I don't care what they call it. What I need is you to show me the raw materials for the things that I wanna build you into. Just like everything else, it's a crawl, walk, run.
I can run a keystone just like this. All the way to ATC, you never quit. All the way to ATC, you never quit.
Hey everybody, welcome back to the One's Ready podcast. We are in the team room right now and we appreciate you joining us. But before we hop into this next episode with Danielle Sebastian, would love for you guys to head over to onesready.com. In fact, I'm going to go over there with you right now because, why not? onesready.com. Then go over to the right-hand side where it says prep, partner discounts, and that'll take you to our partner discounts. And you see that we've got 18 Out Fitness, Attack Elite, Cardomax. We've got all kinds of people here, right? And specifically, I'd like to show you Attack Elite. They've got all the gear that you could possibly need, rocket fins, booties, and if you're going to buy rocket fins, make sure you buy booties because you're going to need them. You can see the high volume masks right there, snorkels, they've got Alice rucks, everything that you need to make sure you are prepared for the pipeline. And it's all the equipment that you're going to be using in the pipeline. So it's not like you're learning on one thing and then have to go to another. So, but if you want that discount, which I know you do, hit any of these links here, right? Hit that. And as long as you don't have pop-up blockers enabled, it's going to give you a pop-up and you just hit that coupon code, right? Boom. And it's going to give it to you. Use that to get yourself a discount because who doesn't like to save money in reality, right? So also, we still have slots available for our Nashville Operator Training Summit coming up in October. If you want information on that, email us at jared@onesready.com, or you can leave a comment, and then I'll also provide the email address there, or you can DM us if you're on Instagram or X, anything like that, and then we'll get you that information. Now, on to our guest. She is Danielle Sebastian, and she is a coach. I'll say a marriage coach. I'm very careful not to say therapist because she said that she is not a therapist, but she is a marriage coach that specializes for wives or women of partners who have post-traumatic stress disorder or any kind of trauma-related history or past, whether it's from childhood or whether it's from being an adult. And she dives into her own history of what she dealt with within her marriage and how she was able to overcome it and how she is now helping out other women to get better. And really, I know you're thinking like, hey, it's other women and we have mostly dudes here. So but trust me, this will help you out as well. Okay. So, she's got a podcast, she's got a TV show, she's a best-selling author, and overall seems like a great person. So I was happy to have her on, and then I hope you enjoy. Later. Hey everybody, welcome back to the One's Ready podcast. You're in the team room. I am here with our guest, Danielle Sebastian. Appreciate you joining us.
Thank you so much for having me today.
Yeah, absolutely. So you, I was actually going through your bio. You are, I'll give you your flowers, right? You are quite accomplished. You're a best-selling author of Resilient Wives. You've had a TV show that's called, you're the founder of WifeCARE, and then you've also had a TV show, right?
Yes, I am currently doing a weekly TV show that is streamed called Love and Trauma, The Real Deal.
Nice. Okay. Well, I got some catching up to do, I think. So,
yeah.
So tell us about yourself. How did you find your way into kind of this marriage counseling therapy kind of realm.
Yeah, it was by life experience. So I'm a pharmacist. That is my day job. So, but I met the man of my dreams it was 15 years ago, actually. And, it was something that I'd always been looking for. He was a father already. So he had a little daughter, and he was the first person that I felt like really wanted to get to know me, right? He was proud of me, and he wanted to know my deepest thoughts and my goals, and he was my biggest supporter. And I was just so happy to find him, and the way that he fathered his daughter was just amazing. And I think it didn't take very long till we realized, yeah, I think this is the person that I want to be with. And we got married on a beautiful beach in Kauai, and Friendly became my stepdaughter. And it was amazing at first, but it wasn't long after the wedding that I started noticing just weird behaviors that I couldn't put my finger on. And so things like needing the house to be very controlled, right? Being very controlling about where things were in the house, and things like where the blinds were placed in the house, for example, how long my showers were, needing to control where the couch was. Like if I tried to move the couch, it had to be very symmetrical. And I was just like, what is going on here? And then I started noticing a lot of withdrawal conflict. And I'm not talking about just, needing to take a little break to the garage, but like going down to the basement and being there for very long periods of time. And after my son was born, that's when things really started to escalate. And that's when I would notice a lot of reactivity. I know that it's reactivity now. I didn't know what it was then, but it seemed like lashing out at small things like, hey, can you take the garbage out? And it was like I had personally, they made a personal attack against him. It was like we were just speaking different languages. Like I was saying one thing and he was hearing something else. And our relationship just kept getting worse and worse until finally it was like, okay, I think I've had enough. But it was only at this point that my husband was able to reveal that he had had a terrible history of childhood abuse at the hands of the church. I was the first one he'd ever been able to tell. And he was also a fireman and first responder. And so we started to put these pieces together that maybe some of his trauma, the things that had happened to him in his past, as well as the things that were happening currently in his job, were creating friction. And they weren't the total cause of all of our relationship issues, obviously, but we were speaking completely different languages and didn't know how to get back on the same page.
Yeah. Well, and that's kind of you talking about the blinds and the shower length and stuff like that. And I could tell you right now, like my wife and my daughter take reasonable showers. My son will just be in the shower. So, and I bring that up because
yes,
there is some, like, how do you find that line between, okay, this is an acceptable thing or a rational thing to be like, all right, dude, you've been in the shower for 20 minutes now. Let's go, versus, a controlling thing like you were talking about. Like, how do you differentiate? Can't talk this morning.
Yeah, that's exactly right. And I think it's just many things getting put together, right? That seem really small on its own, but there was so many of that, and they were just really significantly affecting the relationship.
Yeah.
So we were going to counseling, trying to figure out why I couldn't move the blind up. And let me just give you an example with the blinds. Why? So my son, when he was born, his room was in the upstairs, and it's on the corner. So there's huge windows that look out to the street, right? On all sides.
Right.
And I'm like, I am shutting these windows tight at night because I know that people can see in here and they'll see a crib, right? That was just my thing. And for him, it was like, no, we have to have this much up and this much down because of the airflow and all the, I don't even know what. And we fought and fought and fought over things like that. Does that make sense?
Yeah, no,
So it was just significantly affecting the relationship that wasn't really rational. It didn't feel that rational.
Yeah, and I think there's probably a fair amount of people that have dealt with that, and even I'm sure there are things that I am irrational about too, if I had to guess. Like, you know, I'm sure everybody has their little bugaboos, right?
Right. Indeed. Little bugaboos. Yeah. But it was starting to get to this point where we were enemies in our own house.
So what happened?
Yeah. So what happened was, you know, once we were able to start figuring out that he started doing treatment, of course, right? When he was able to finally reveal this terrible history. But what I found that trauma healing is not a upward trend, right? It's this roller coaster of emotions. And what I found as a partner was that things actually got worse in our relationship when he started treatment than before they got better. And I just found that all of these relationship communication advice that was given was really great for two people that were regulated, but it was not working in my relationship where essentially my husband was on hyper alert, as you know, for danger, and he was seeing danger everywhere. And so even the things that I would say that meant nothing to me, he was taking as, you know, a personal affront, or that he was a terrible person, or he was just seeing a bear when there was a stump, if that makes sense.
No, it makes sense. It's fascinating.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry, I interrupted you.
No, you're fine. So when he was having those reactions to things, I had no idea what it was all about, and I took it all on as myself. I took it personally.
So did you guys do, now you had mentioned counseling and stuff like that, and then you say in treatment, what kind of treatment are you talking about? Is it like traditional one-on-one therapy, or is it a different kind of treatment?
Yeah, we had a team. To be honest, we had the couples. I had someone who was teaching me what how trauma affects relationships. And then he also was seeing someone on his own. He did try medication to help. Essentially, he had PTSD, you know, and it was complex PTSD. So he tried medication as well.
Okay. Did it kind of expose itself into more of like a borderline personality disorder kind of thing? Or did you guys go down that route at all? Or was it strictly just kind of the outcome of having the PTSD and the trauma from when he was a kid? Because I mean, I'm no expert by any means. I'm just an idiot on the internet, but like it seems from what I've read, borderline personality disorder can kind of be established or created from childhood trauma, and especially over years upon years. Is that kind of something that you guys explored, or was that ever brought up?
It wasn't brought up with my husband because it appeared to be just more of the dysregulation that was occurring day to day was causing these emotions. And then, you know, then he felt so bad and shameful about him. So from what I figured out, I also am not, you know, a trained therapist or anything, but the borderline personality disorder, that might be something that it can be caused by it. But in my particular case, I really felt like it was dysregulation occurring over and over again. And we had to deal with those triggers differently than we had in the past.
So what kind of tools were the two of you taught on how to regulate that and deal with that and get past it? Because, I mean, you said that it was creating some massive amount of friction in your marriage and probably taking you guys in spiraling out of control, if I had to imagine. And also identifying that, you know, it's not, yes, there are friction points within marriage throughout the years. So, you know, it's cyclic, it seems. But then So how did you guys, what are some tools that they taught you guys?
Well, I would say that the work that my husband did with, his psychiatrist, and the talk therapy and all those things, he was starting to identify why he was having those reactions, right? And so he used the analogy, is it a snake or a stick?
Mm,
That was what he really responds to. But I'm a Montana girl, and so as a partner, I was thinking bear or stuff, right?
right. Different kinds of threats.
Kinds of stuff. But really, he started to realize that when he had those emotions, he was literally, it was these visceral responses that he was having that were coming from deep in from the past.
Mm,
It wasn't about reality. And so he started to be able to identify those things. Now, as a partner, I'm going to be honest, not much of the advice that I received was very helpful in those moments. And so I started delving deep into the literature. So I'm a pharmacist by background, so I'm really good at research. And I started looking everywhere for resources for partners that really worked. And I'm going to be honest, I didn't find much.
mm,
There's not groups out there of partners that, get together. There wasn't this community that you can see, like grief and all those things. There was a lot of stuff for trauma survivors, but I found very little for partners. And so then I started delving into understanding the trauma more and how it affected. So I was reading a lot of books, like The Body Keeps Score, those type of things. And there would be little snippets in there that would talk about partners and what it felt like to them. And I found these little nuggets that I started trying in my relationship. And so I have found several things that now I'm trying to teach other partners that work better, because the I statements didn't work.
yeah.
Right? Love languages, they don't work. They just didn't work. I'm trying to think of date nights, scheduling date nights, every week. That was like horrible for us.
Mm,
And so all of those things that I was reading that weren't really helping. So what does help is understanding that when our partner is having those responses, those body responses to being, for no other word I can find is triggered, right? When they're triggered by something that either you said or did or anything else, nothing that you can say in that moment is going to be productive.
right. And I think
Yeah.
you attacking it essentially from a different angle is what's important. You're right. There's so much literature out there. There's so many, whether it's podcasts or advice or therapists are all focused on even some of the programs that the military and some of the nonprofit foundations do. They'll take people out for retreats, and then brain stuff, and then there's the psychedelic retreats that they'll
Yeah.
do and stuff like that, and it's all, and me and my wife have talked about this, and it's all for us, right? The actual veteran or the person that is on that receiving end or whatever. But then there's rarely something for the spouses. And I know there's a foundation right now that actually my wife's talking to right now, that they do both. So
Oh,
like
okay.
they take the member or whoever is
Uh-huh.
needing it, and then they take the spouse too, and that way you're walking the path, or you're going through the treatment together, versus like, okay, I would just receive it and I got to leave home for 2 weeks, or a week or whatever long it is, and I come back and okay, I'm changed, but things that I have said or done or whatever, or her own stuff, um, is still unsolved. So, or
Yeah.
untreated, right? So it's tough out there because there's so much of that is kind of just singularly focused instead of both.
Yeah. And I just found that, my husband was doing all this work and it was great, but we had to practice it in the day-to-day activities, right? So, I mean, we even separated for a while, and I'm like, yeah, it's really easy for us to get along really well when there's no pressures, right? No messes, no blinds.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And then I'm like, yeah, this isn't going to work. Like, we have to live together and work through this on a day-to-day basis.
Yeah. So, like, what you had talked about tools, and I don't recall us actually talking about some of those tools. So you mind hopping in on what some of those things are that you found that were actually helpful and successful?
Yeah, I'll give you three of my biggest ones. And that is that, you know, understanding that when your partner is triggered, and, you know, this is the same for a survivor, right? For someone who had the trauma, identifying, you know, that emotion that comes up and taking a pause. And when I say pause, I'm not talking about take 30 minutes and come back to it because that's
Mm,
the normal advice, right? I mean, for those people who are in a relationship like this, you know, it's often not, nobody is ready to talk in 30 minutes usually.
yeah.
Maybe in some cases, but in a lot of cases, that it takes much longer than that. So I'm talking about hours, days.
Mm.
Okay. Just give it a break.
And that's a recommendation,
Yeah.
okay.
So take a pause and try. And then the second thing for both parties is to not take it personally then.
Which that's
Okay.
tough.
It is so tough. And I have to say that I used to get so sick because that was a lot of the advice that I did find for partners was don't take it personally.
You're like,
I was
oh,
like,
okay.
I'm not taking it personally. Would it quit telling me that I'm not taking it personally until I realized, oh yeah, I was so taking it personally. And taking it personally means you have got, you know, you have this knot in your stomach, you know, from the fight. You stopped doing the plans that you were gonna do. You can't sleep at night because of the fight, all of those things, right? So when
Mhm.
I say don't take it personally, I literally mean be like, okay, this isn't him. This isn't me. This is the trauma. This is what happened in the
Yeah.
past that's coming to be, and it's not rational.
But in the moment, it's
In the
super,
moment, it's so hard.
because you're like, hey, I trust this person, I
Mhm.
adore this person, and they essentially adore me. And then you just said or did some shit to me that you're like, dude,
Mhm.
like, how do you not take it personally? You know, that's tough.
It's very hard, but the thing that I want you to understand with that is that you stop it. You stop the discussion before all those really hurtful things are
Mm,
said. Okay? That's the idea. It's hard to do, but that's the idea, is that if you can start stopping those, you know, the conversation
mhm.
early enough, then you don't say all those hurtful things and you both have time to think about what really happened there. And then the third thing is you do have to come back to it, because how many of us just are like, oh, we're good now 2 days later, right? And you just pushed it under the rug and you never start addressing exactly what happened in that moment to make it better.
Yeah, well, little bit of rug sweeping there.
A lot of rug sweeping in my case. And then we just kept having the same fights over and over again.
Yeah, which is never fun because you're like, hey,
No.
can this conversation please progress? Like
Yes.
it's literally like almost verbatim the
The
same,
same ones.
and
Like
you're
the blind. Like, are you kidding me? We're still
we're gonna
fighting
stick
about the
we're gonna stick on
blinds
this. We're gonna stay with this blind
again.
thing. We're definitely
Getting
gonna
nowhere. Getting
yeah
nowhere.
yeah.
Yeah.
And you're like, dude, can we just move on from this?
Yeah.
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 So those are those tools. So when I say that I statement don't work, so that's what I mean. Like, so many of us have been trained and ingrained, and you know, everybody wants to try and fix it in the moment. But when you know that those emotions are coming, it doesn't matter how many I statements you say. As I mentioned,
Mhm.
no conversation is going to be fruitful in that moment. So it's all about taking a break. And then you can use some of the I statements in the follow-up conversation. Um,
And what do you mean by
that,
I statements?
yeah, like when you know, I take that hurts my feelings when you
Mhm.
do that, you know, or those kind of statements where you're supposed to state how you feel first and not be, you know, when you didn't take out the garbage and you got like that.
Yeah.
That made me feel bad or whatever. So you're supposed to start with, you know, how it made you feel first without it being blaming.
Well, I've always been told, and it had good experience with, hey, just chill out or telling people to relax. I mean, that usually works very well for me.
Yeah.
I can't even say
Hmm.
it with a straight face.
Yeah. why are you acting like this?
Why you mad, bro?
That never works. Let me just,
Just be clear. I'm being sarcastic, people.
yes, indeed. Never works. Don't do it. Yeah.
Yeah. It's a, I'll tell you, I have definitely been guilty of doing that. Like, just relax, just chill out. Like,
Yeah.
what's, that
Yeah. What's the deal here?
doesn't quite go over that well.
It doesn't. It doesn't. No.
Doesn't de-escalate the situation for sure.
No, it does not.
So now, knowing what you know now, what you've experienced, and everything that you've learned, how are you now utilizing that, not just within your relationship, but then like helping others?
So I help other women with these tools, right? And a lot of it has to do with just, I think that a lot of partners don't understand what I was just talking about with why those reactions are coming at them. And so it's a lot of teaching in very layman's terms what it feels like day to day, not getting into the science, about it, but the reason that when you say this, they hear this is because they are attuned to to see danger everywhere, right? And it doesn't have anything to do with you or what you said. It's just that they have this emotional reaction from the past that has them react this way. So we're really trying to understand what is going on here, because so many partners are just so confused. Why can't I just ask for help? Why can't I, say this and I get this type of reaction? And once you know the why, then you can figure out what to do about it. So a lot of education on that. And then these tools that I have identified that actually make things better rather than throwing kerosene on the fire.
So I want to get this straight. You are a full-time pharmacist and you do therapy.
And I do coaching. Yes.
Coaching. Okay,
I do
not
coaching.
therapy.
Coaching. With wives.
You are busy. Jeez.
I am busy. Yes.
Yeah. Now, do you just, so you had specifically mentioned women, you typically just focus on women who are spouses of people with PTSD?
Yes, that is who my focus is. But like, as I mentioned, I have this TV show because I am on this mission to talk about how these things are affecting relationships. And I want it to be the real deal, not the things that you hear, oh yeah, we just need to communicate better. No, I mean, what it looks like day to day. If we can't address those things and normalize them and learn about them, then we can't make them better.
Okay, well, tell us about the show then, like where, not just where we can find it, but also the kind of premise of the show is,
Yes.
That's actually the end of the question. I just kept going.
I got you. Yeah. So it's really just, I am having guests. So it's a guest show where I bring on all kinds of people that can talk about how, trauma affects relationships and what we can do about it. So I want it to be very hopeful, right? And so I'm trying to get real tools, like I said, that really work out to people that they could start doing today that would make their relationships better. So I've had therapists on there. I've had lots of survivors. I've had partners of trauma, all kinds of guests. Anybody who can bring some light as to how we can normalize talking about how this affects relationships and what we can do about it.
Nice. Well, so for those folks that are interested in this or thinking like, hey, how do I know the difference between, trauma response and like a deeper issue, and when is this kind of therapy or coaching? When is it appropriate for me to start exploring?
Yeah, so that's a very good question. And I do get that a lot, where it's like, okay, what is the difference essentially between, as you mentioned, like dysregulation versus some of the behaviors can feel very narcissistic,
Right.
or like you said, deeper, or a bigger problem in the relationship. And so a lot of my education is about, okay, dysregulation, is a response that comes from some sort of trigger from the past that happens. And when it's not about a place of coming from needing to control, does that make sense?
Hmm.
So it's not that these responses are coming because they're trying to be controlling or, trying to be detrimental to you. It's just literally this visceral response, and they feel very bad about it, right? So they're like, oh my gosh, I can't believe I had that huge response to that, and they want to do something about it.
Mm.
I would say that the more narcissistic or even abusive relationships, those responses are not like that. They're more about needing to control it or to hurt the partner. They're coming from a different place, if that
Mm.
makes sense.
It does make sense, and it's just trying to, like, I wonder, or have you noticed that that kind of recognition or recognizing that is more common in kind of people our age, or like younger, 18, 19, 20-year olds?
Mm,
Like, does it take some emotional or some a level of maturity to recognize that, or, you know,
Indeed.
okay.
Yes, I will tell you 100%. And all you need to do is look at my Instagram page and you can see that, people that have had more life experience and, have been in relationships know that no relationship is perfect, right? And that there's always work to be done in relationships. And if you these women that I'm talking to, they're experiencing these really difficult things on both sides, but they know that it's coming from somewhere deep inside and that
Yeah.
it isn't intended to be hurtful or controlling. They know that. And we also are like, gosh, just because of what happened to someone in the past shouldn't mean that they can't have a loving relationship,
Oh, yeah, of course.
loving, healthy relationship. And it's just about tweaking and understanding where those behaviors are coming from. Because if we can tweak those, because those coping mechanisms help them survive, right? My husband learned that by having things perfectly in place, right, in his fire equipment and everything, if something was missing,
Yeah.
he was it was survival,
Hmm.
right? That's been ingrained in him. And so that's how it was coming out in the house, is that if things were not perfectly where his brain felt they needed to be, it was like a survival response to him.
That's
And
wild.
once I understood that, I'm like, oh, okay, I have a little bit, maybe we can just compromise on the blinds and not have it just either open or closed,
That,
right?
yeah, that's wild, because I mean, we would
Mm-hmm.
have, I've never been a fireman, but we would have what we call ready rooms, and
Yep.
we have these kind of crosses that our body armor hangs on, and we've got all our radios programmed, or and everything's in a certain place, so that when we do get the call and we're alerted, you
Yep.
run there, throw it on, and you get in the vehicles or the helicopters and you go. And yeah, everything definitely you wanted.
Mm-hmm.
The organization of everything gave you a level of comfort, going like, my past self looked out for my future self, and everything is where it needs to be. I've made sure all my magazines are loaded, my radios are programmed, I've got the current crypto, all that kind of stuff. And yeah, so I can relate to that for sure.
Yes.
I can't relate to the blinds thing, but I can relate to the,
But yes, like why can I, when you have kids and you're used to putting your charger, let me just because we have a constant fight about chargers, phone charger,
they
and you
go
always
missing.
put your charger in this place and it's never there.
Yeah.
Like there's a lot of emotion in that,
Yeah. Yeah.
right? And once you understand that there's deeper than just, oh my gosh, he's angry about everything, then you can really start to make it better,
Yeah.
right? Mm-hmm.
So I'm interested in, and this is kind of this might be a unrelated question, but I think it is.
Mm-hmm.
What I have noticed recently in this generation of, and I guess they'd be Gen Alpha, 16, 17, 18, 19, and even into like 20, early 20s. People people aren't having relationships as, or not as many. I'm not talking about like hookup culture or Tinder or anything like that. I'm talking about actual, you know, relationships. And because I mean, I had girlfriends in high school and middle school and all that kind of stuff, and it teaches you that kind of um, almost how to regulate, like, okay, these really high feelings, these really low feelings, rejection, breakup, and that kind of stuff. But it seems like they're not getting that kind of experience these days. And I don't know if you've noticed that as well. And then like, how can we can't help it, but how can they help it? Because that's kind of our demographic, is we have 15 to 35-year-olds that are watching us.
Yeah. Oh, well, I'll just tell you the thing that I'm seeing on my Instagram page is I'll talk about some of these, behaviors, and I'm trying to be very real that these things are happening, and the younger generation is like, leave him. Why are you doing this? You don't
Yeah.
deserve this. All of them. They're just like, leave. And I'm like, well, good luck in relationships, man. Because I mean, if you're going to leave at every, little behavior that you don't understand, we're going to be in a world of hurt.
Yeah.
In relationships. It's to me, there's just a lack of empathy to understand why some of these behaviors are happening, because we all have them, right? We've all had, it doesn't have to be, I keep hearing this word, big T trauma. I mean, all of us have coping mechanisms that we developed because of our experiences that may not be that great in relationships, that need to be tweaked. And the answer is not leave, in my opinion, in all cases, right? Obviously,
There's some extreme
there's
cases
some
for
very
sure.
extreme,
Yeah.
if you feel unsafe, all those type of things. But if you're going to leave at every single time you have a disagreement and you don't understand why your partner reacted a way, we're going to be in a world of hurt.
Yeah. Oh, for sure. And walking out's or walking or leaving or whatever is definitely the easy way out. And you're right. I want to be clear. Like, there are situations that is
Yes.
for sure the absolute right answer. And we've all seen it on movies and TV shows, and even, unfortunately, friends and family, where you're like, dude, just get out of there. It's not like, it is past that. You've got to bounce out of there. Whereas others, it is so easy to just divorce,
Yeah.
or
And I will just be honest, like, I'm not there. Not every relationship can make it through what I did.
Right.
I get it. And not every person can, but I do think that understanding the trauma and seeing if you can make some adjustments on both sides, to try to communicate better, is worth it for someone who experienced terrible things.
Yeah.
Right? Terrible things. They deserve it. If they can, if both can work on it together and make it better, then great. And you know what? If that ends up not working, I totally get it. I'm not telling people to be unhappy and stick in unhappy relationships, but I do feel like there is just a lack of people normalizing that why some of these behavior happen, that they were coping mechanisms, that it doesn't have to be shameful why they're occurring, and that if we can address it and talk about it more and make it better, that's a wonderful thing for our relationships.
Yeah. And it's another aspect of that is can be difficult to highlight the need for coaching or therapy or treatment or anything like that to that person, because it's like, I don't have a problem. What are you talking about? Like, you're the one with the problem. And
so much defensiveness, so much, if my partner would just do this, if he needs to do the healing before we can have it, there's so much more in each person's control than people realize.
Oh yeah. And again, if somebody doesn't believe that they have a problem, trying to convince that person to, like, hey, you need to go help and I'll walk with you, they're still like, yeah, beat it, nerd.
Yeah.
I'm not doing that.
Indeed. That's a lot of the battle, which is why I just want to talk about, I feel from the part, from the trauma survivors, so much, they feel so much shame and guilt, and that's keeping them from being vulnerable
Yeah.
and opening up and being open to, oh, maybe, just maybe, what happened to me in the past
I'm not
is
pointing fingers. I'm
no,
just saying.
maybe just some of those things that worked for you as a kid may not be working as in adulthood.
Yeah, for sure. So I was, perusing your site and everything like that before we hopped on, and you offer kind of guided conversational or tough scripts. So what would be an example of a kind of a script that you would provide, or a tough script?
Oh, this is a good one. Okay. So, again, a lot of the relationship advice. So, this is really talking about if you need to have that follow up conversation, right? Over something that happened that created a lot of emotion between both of you. And this could be any type of conversation. But I found that for someone who had trauma, that they're constantly looking for that danger, right? So there's a few simple things that we can do when we want to have those conversations that will not create that initial response where you can't have a really good conversation,
Right.
right? And so one of the first things I recommend is that you go on a walk or you'll be doing something else. You don't say, "Hey, let's sit down because we need to talk."
Oh yeah. Hey, we need to talk when you get home.
The "we need to talk" is
Didn't go well.
that's immediately going to bring up all those feelings of I can't do anything right. I am a horrible person. Blah blah blah. Uh, I'm in trouble, right? All
Yep.
of those things. And so I recommend doing something else. And I started noticing this because every single time I was trying to have a conversation with my husband about stuff, he was constantly like doing other stuff, and I used to get so upset. Like, just look at me so that I know you're paying attention. And
Yeah.
it wasn't working. And I'm like, well, maybe this works better. And so I was like, oh, okay, this does work better. And so I recommend just, doing something else and say, hey, so I've been thinking about the other night,
Hmm.
when we, when whatever, all the emotions happened. And I'm wondering if now is a good time to talk about it. Just, you can see how that conversation goes so much differently than we need to talk about 2 days ago.
Well, and that
Right?
immediately defense spike, like,
Yeah,
or
immediate.
anxiety and that kind of stuff.
Hmm.
Oh, okay. Yeah,
Hmm.
we'll talk about it.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. We'll talk about it. We'll talk about what you did, and then you start the blame game and all this stuff. And this goes with the same thing, like just talking about. Everybody is recommended to have Sunday night talks about the schedule, right? Where you sit down and you bring your laptop
For the
and
following
the
week,
calendar.
for
You know
the,
what I'm talking about? Where yeah, I was noticing that all of our Sunday meetings that we were going to have about the week coming up and plan, they went horribly, right?
interesting. Okay.
And so I'm like, I wonder if I did it differently, if we could have a different result,
So how do you
right?
guys do it now then?
We literally are doing the dishes, and I'm like, okay, so this week we have this, this, and this, you know, can you take this one? I want to do this one, and can you do this one?
Hmm.
Yeah. And then we're like, okay, yeah. And then I go and put it in the schedulator. He puts it in the schedulator. But it doesn't, those type of conversations just ended up working so much better for us.
Yeah, then a structured, all right, tonight we're
Hmm.
meeting at 6 p.m. and
Yeah,
we're going
yeah.
to go through it.
And then it's just like, oh dear, here we go. We ended up turning into a who does more, right? Every time. Like,
Oh, the competition, huh?
all the competition. Well, I did this and you did this and you didn't do this and all those things. Try something different. Try is my point,
Yeah,
right?
usually keeping
Mhm.
score is not a great
It
thing.
is not helpful.
No.
And then when you have those meetings that keep going like that, then both of you are resentful, and that's how the pattern goes.
Yeah. Yeah, and
So,
if you
mhm.
can't break out of that, that is for sure a real thing. Yeah, we
Yeah.
we have a family shared calendar, and
Yes.
my daughter will put things on there, and then it notifies us,
Yes.
or something gets edited or deleted, and it's such a great thing. But yeah, it's
Mhm.
we don't have a scheduled kind of thing, so maybe that has never been a contentious thing unless I have forgotten, or she has forgotten, or any of us really have forgotten to put
Yeah.
something on there, and it's like, oh God,
Yeah.
yeah, that's right.
Mhm. Yeah.
Um, so
Mhm.
yeah,
Mhm. Yeah, and so that can work on that, but it can also work up on the follow-up. And so, that better conversation, it literally goes into where you should be talking, how you should start the conversation, and then what the wording can be when you are trying to actually have a fruitful conversation where you actually get somewhere
yeah,
instead of just having the same fight over and over again.
yeah. No, completely agree. So
Mhm.
tell us about WifeCARE because you're the
Yeah,
founder of it.
I am. Yeah. So essentially, WifeCare is just, I am totally 100% dedicated to putting together a community of partners that can support each other, talk about the real issues that are happening and what really works. So I have a community and free resources on my website, as well as offering coaching opportunities for people, for women who are like, okay, I need a blueprint on where to start
Yeah.
and how to start making things better.
Well, in that community, is that forum based, or is that? I'm actually going to bring up your website here in a second.
Yeah. And so usually I recommend that if, and this is resonating with anyone, that they book a free call with me, and then we'll talk, about what the resources will
There
be.
you go.
Yep, there it is. So the free conversation script is right at the top. And then at the bottom of this page, you can schedule a free call with me. And that is exactly how you can start figuring out how to get into my community. So,
Nice.
mhm.
I mean, how big's your community now? I mean, because you've been doing this for a while, and you've got. I mean, you got a TV show, you got a book, best-selling book, you've got, so this is that's pretty sweet. Congratulations.
Thank you. Yeah, so I wrote the book in 2022. That was like the big thing. I really needed to get my story out there. So about being a partner and what I've learned, and what it really looks like. But things that I found that really did get us, my husband and I, into a relationship where we're like, okay, we got these tools. The trauma is always going to be there, but we have the tools to work through it, and we're going to be okay. So that was the first step. And then I started putting out the resources. And now I do have this wonderful community of partners all in the same boat. I feel like it's kind of isolating because, as a partner, first of all, people aren't talking about it,
Hmm.
you know, and there's very few resources for partners, but also that it's just something like, it's how much do you share, right? About, like, in my personal case, it was, my husband's trauma was kind of a secret, right? And so it's like, how much, do you want to share? And that's what this community is all about. It's very safe. You share what you want to, but you can hear and be with other people who are in the same situation.
Yeah. Well, I'm gonna kind of put you on the spot a little bit, but what's kind of the biggest misconception for partners um, that also have partners with PTSD?
Um, for the partners that of
Like,
someone who has CPTSD,
yeah,
or
for if there's a wife that has a partner that, or a wife that has a husband that has PTSD, what's kind of the biggest misconception around that? Like, is it unsolvable and it just, you got to break away and move on, or are there other kind of more misconceptions, especially with all the conversations that you have had with all of these relationships?
the biggest misconception is that if my partner doesn't do the work, nothing can change.
Okay,
And
dive into that for me.
yeah, and what I mean by you feel so out of control. Like if my partner doesn't do the work, if he doesn't get better, right? Or if he doesn't recognize it, then there's nothing I can do about it. And the
Mm,
complete opposite is true. And so I work with them and be like, no, there are so many things that are within your control to change that will make things better right away. And so a lot of the things that we do naturally in fights and when things are triggered and in this vicious cycle that we're in don't make things better. So by us walking on eggshells, on us trying to fix everything, doing everything to not rock the boat, we're actually not helping our partner
mm.
heal and actually recognize and make what's going on, what really is going on in those situations any better.
So if your partner does say something that maybe it doesn't start a fight, but it's definitely like, dude, what the hell? Um, not ignoring that or not allowing a couple days to go by where you just forget about it and say whatever. You actually should address it.
Yes, indeed. And then just in those moments, I mean, so many of us are trying to apologize for things that we didn't do, right? Or what, all those things that we were just talking about. You say, why is this upsetting you so much? Blah, 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 blah. All those things that you are saying in that moment are actually making it worse
Mm.
instead of just taking a break and then coming back to it. So those are the biggest misconceptions that I see that can switch literally immediately. You can switch those things right away and start taking more control back in those conversations and in those situations that make things better right away.
Well, it's going to help. It's going to help that person deregulate as it is,
Yes.
because when one person goes from here to up here, and the one that is trying to solve it automatically
Hmm.
goes up
Goes
here.
from there.
Yeah,
Hmm.
it's
And
not great.
then, nope, not good. Not good.
And it's going to be tough for both of you guys to come down, and maybe you've got to be the one that comes down and deregulates first, and whether it's taking a break or whether it's using different one of your scripts or
Mhm.
a different kind of attack plan, if you will. It's a difficult problem to solve for sure, and
It, it
it's
is.
tough because it's your life. It's about somebody you care about. Maybe there's kids involved as well. It's not a great situation.
It's very complicated.
Yeah.
And so what I say is that you're in this cycle, right? We've already talked about, you just have the same the same things over and over again. And what you want to do is just bust that cycle into a million different pieces by trying to do some new things and start rebuilding healthier ones in its place.
Yeah. Well, so again, we've already talked about your show, your podcast, your book, WifeCARE community. So what other projects are you working on, or is there like where do you see all of this going in the future?
I would love to be able to do this full time eventually so that, I've had a wonderful pharmacy career, but this is my mission in life is to help relationships and be there and really teach people tools that work that can make things better. So I want to do that. And in addition to communities, I want to have retreats.
Yeah.
I think that Montana is a great place to have retreats. If you're looking for some peace and calm and a community of wonderful people, all working on things with the same mission.
Yeah.
That's my next goal is that I'd like to start being able to have retreats for partners.
No, that's awesome. And I've actually never been to Montana. I've been to most states, but I've not been to Montana. And we're actually going out with some friends tonight that are from Montana, and
Oh,
and
oh,
they and I couldn't
yeah,
even tell you where it is because it's some
small.
middle of nowhere town,
Yep.
But when we see pictures and they talk about it, you're like, man, this place sounds awesome.
It's pretty great. It's
Yeah.
really great. Yeah, I would love to bring people up here and work on their relationships and work on themselves.
Yeah, that's great. I hope it all works out for you, and
Thank
um,
you.
would love to come up there and visit. But
Uh,
uh, last thing, what
yeah.
kind of advice would you give to people that are kind of they don't know if they're in that situation where, because maybe they haven't gone that deep or into that person's history, or maybe that person has even repressed it, but they're like, man, something's going on and I can't figure it out. Like, this can't be normal behavior. So what advice would you give to them?
Yeah, I would say that was where I was. I didn't know that these signs could have meant that that had happened in the past, or that this was contributing.
Mm-hmm.
And so if any of these things resonated, I would say that I would be open with your partner about, hey, is there something, that may have happened to you? If anything that you want to tell me, just know I'm here for you. And just kind of opening that, but you don't need to know all the details. And I still don't know a lot of the details.
Yeah.
I just know that those behaviors are happening and I wanted to do something about it. And so if you're seeing behaviors like I described, or that you can see on my webpage, then start trying some of these things and see if it makes it better. I would say that the average age that men reveal, a childhood abuse situation, especially sexual childhood abuse, is 52 years of age.
No way.
52.
Wow. Is that because they've forgotten about it or repressed it, or they can't talk about it?
All of it, right?
Wow.
And so there's really a lot of things that need to be met for men to feel comfortable in revealing that has been shown in the literature. That's that they're far away from what happened to them, so that they realize that, okay, that won't happen to me, right? I'm an adult now. This cannot happen to me. They also need to feel safe and trust someone that they will be believed. And the third thing, they need to be far enough away from it, and then they also their brain needs to be able to process it, right? So a lot of times it is suppressed, and so they'll start to have memories that come back when they feel safe, right? Enough to be there. And so just realize that there's a lot of marriages out there like mine that are being affected by this, where that has not been addressed yet. And that doesn't mean you can't start doing things to make your relationship better in the meantime.
So flipping a little bit, do you know what the average age is for a woman then?
Much lower. I think that it said that it was 12 years earlier, if not
like
more.
38, 40?
Yeah. Or even, it's like 12 to 15 years earlier for women.
Wow.
Than it is.
I wonder why that, I mean, I'm sure there's some physiological and just, hey, men versus women kind of thing that dictates that. But wow, that's a big gap. And I also can't believe that it's that late in life.
I can't either, but I believe it. I believe that it happened to us.
Wow.
Yeah. And so there's a lot of relationships out there where this could be, part of what's going on is that dysregulation, and triggers that you're just like, I've tried everything, I can't make it better. So try some of these things that are very trauma informed tools, to see if it makes it better. And then a lot of times, if we can really start addressing what's really going on, which is why the emotion happened in the first place, then I found that a lot of the partners that I've been working with, their husband does start to be like, okay, I think I do need to address this thing that happened to me.
Yeah. Well, kind of going back to your retreats, and I know you're not doing retreats yet, but yet. Can 501c3s and foundations that do this kind of stuff, is there a way that they can, I don't know, connect with you somehow and then help, almost feed you few people and at some point even set you up to do retreats?
Oh, yeah, I would be open to talking to anyone about any options, any ideas that they have to be able to start making this better. I am totally open to any conversations. I have ideas of my own, of course. Just looking to make those connections. So,
Yeah.
yes.
Well, I mean, because, and I bring that up because, we have the Combat Control Foundation, the Pararescue Foundation, the TACP Foundation, you've got Navy SEAL Foundation, all these foundations. And I'm sticking with, special operations
Mm-hmm.
because that's what I know. But there's incredible foundations out there that are always looking to help support their community, and they don't necessarily do it themselves, so they rely on other um, companies and organizations to provide those kind of services.
Yeah, and I think that this is a really untapped one that we
Yeah,
need to address.
well, yeah, because I had talked about it earlier, the retreats and all that kind of stuff that we get advertised or that are offered to us are generally just for the member,
Yep.
not for the couple or the spouse, so it's
Yeah.
it's it's a step forward, but it's definitely not all the way there. It's the 50% solution.
Yeah. Yep. And I think that there can be a lot of value in having the survivor and their partner
Yep.
go and having resources for both, and then we get together. I think that would be an amazing retreat.
Yeah.
And
Oh,
swap.
for sure. And it's in
Mhm.
Montana, so hey.
Why
And then
not?
I did want to give a shout out. How do you know John Malura?
Oh, well, it's interesting because we both are starting our business kind of from scratch, right?
Mhm.
And so we use Brand Builders Group
Okay.
to that is helping us build our brands and our business from scratch. And so we connected through Brand Builders.
Ah,
Group.
okay. All
Yes,
right.
and because we have similar missions in life, and so that's how I know John.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. He's
Yeah.
great. He's got a fascinating story too. Where,
Oh,
you know,
love it.
rock climber working with NASA to develop like just
What?
come
You're
on.
just
Like it's wild. No, he's a great dude. So
oh,
it's good.
love him. And yes, he was able to make me some really great connections. So
No, that's awesome. And that's what it's
yeah,
all about is
yeah,
networking and all that kind of stuff. So
yes.
it's good.
Love it.
Awesome.
Thank you for
Well,
having
I
me.
do appreciate your time joining us. Thanks for coming in here and dropping some knowledge on us. Everybody out there, don't forget to like, subscribe, hit that notification bell, leave us a review and comment. Visit us on whensready.com. Buy yourself pizza merch. Let's see, we got the Operation Midnight Hammer here, and then we got, I can't see it, Make Air Force Special Warfare Great Again. So there you go.
Oh,
All right, we're
love
out here.
it.
Later.